uh, whatever it is that we want to do, right? We thank you very much. I didn't want to ask for recording because I felt it was not in my class. I would have requested that the session be recorded if I was in my session. Thank you for doing that. All right, so I was saying that many organizations, both established organizations and startups within 0 to 3 years would always, right, run towards anything that has to do with funding or anything that has to do with investors. Reason being that it's successful business. But as a startup, there's need for you to understand the different types or the different kinds of funding or financial support that is available for every startup. Because your ability to be able to understand these different types will help you to know what or which of them your business needs. Because many people just think that the only available source out there is investors, right? When you have angel investors fund your business. Can you please mute yourself if you are not speaking to help us have a very good experience on the call, right? As I was saying, many people are only familiar with the angel investors. A number of us are not familiar with other types that are there. And the truth is, when it comes to funding your business, there are multiple options to choose from, right? And we are going to be taking a closer look at some of the most popular types, including their pros and their cons, right, of each of them. I want us to start with funding, and then we go down into creating a very compelling value proposition, and then talk about market segmentation as the case may be, right? So before I start, is it possible, let me see, is it possible, just so I do not assume, is it possible for me to have people give me what are the different types of funding that you know, right? I don't want to assume. It just crossed my mind right now that we might have people here who really have an idea of the different types of funding that is accessible to startups, even to established businesses. Do I have one or two persons here that might be able to help me with that? Yep. How many types of funding do you know, and can you list them? Feel free to chat to respond in the chat box, chat section. You don't need to unmute yourself, but if you can unmute yourself, that would also be nice. But then the most important thing for me is to assess our knowledge bank and to know what we know. So let's have a few responses. How many funding types do you know, and can you list them? We have 14 people on this call. I believe I'm not talking to myself. Okay, Gift knows of crowdfunding. That's correct. Who else? Do you only know of crowdfunding? Who else, aside from crowdfunding, what other type of funding do you know? Okay, loans, investments, very good. That's true. So I love the fact that a number of us are quite familiar with the different types of funding that we have readily available for startups to access. So definitely some of these things that you have mentioned are basically some of the types that I'm going to be talking about. And I'm also going to be making mention of what are the pros and what are the cons, that is the advantage and the disadvantages that comes with this type of fund. So let me share my screen. I hope I can do that, please. Share my screen, start now. For now. Mm. Mhm. All right. So I have here, please let me know my board. So I need someone to speak. Can you see my screen from
The
afar?
screen can be seen, ma'am.
All right,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am.
Thank you very much. All right, strapping, right? This is what, and I think I can boldly say that 50% of every one of us who are business owners here started our business with bootstrapping. So basically what bootstrapping means is that it refers to funding a business using your or revenue generated by the business without external financing. So it means that you have sat down, you put your money together, and you did that in order to be able to set a target for yourself financially. And once you've been able to reach that, for any individual, right? They would want to have an idea of how you began your business or what are the things that you did, right? From the conception, right, of your business, from ideation, were the things that's in preliminary stage of your business, and there's a need for it, right? Not just saying I put money together. So that thing that involves you putting your own money together is called bootstrapping, right? And it has its advantage and disadvantage, which is also what we call the pros and cons. The advantage, which is the pros of bootstrapping, is that you have complete control over your business, right? It also encourages a lean operation and creativity, meaning that because you know that you're spending to for the external cost, you do not have that liberty, or you do not have the how do I put it? Not necessarily the liberty. You do not have the opportunity. No, there's a word I'm actually looking for, right? You do not have the luxury, yes, to spend. So you can only work within a lean budget, and you can only do to the degree that your fund can leverage on, which is why it is very, very common for most startups who start or who started their business all the time leverage on free services, right? Or leverage on barter, meaning that rather than paying financially for a service, they could do that in exchange with another thing. So it is possible for a business like that of Dozier, who is into publishing and marketing to schools, rather than saying, now, okay, school, let me bring this particular product to you, right? Now, financial risk. That is, there's every tendency for you to eat into your, right? There's every tendency for you to eat into your personal spending that could affect your domestic responsibility at home. So you're a father who has children and a wife. If you're spending from your personal purse on your business, there's every tendency that your family would suffer, except you have very, very good financial literacy, and you have a very, very good grasp of how to manage without external fund. If the only thing that you are depending on is bootstrapping your business, which means you spending only from your own. These are why am I confused with this thing? All right. The voice from that recording is distracting me. So the loans are the financial aid or support that we get from institutions like banks. It could be from friends. It could be from a business entity that believes in your business, and they do that with an intention of getting interest, right, from you. So they say that they are giving you 100,000, and then you have to pay them maybe 2%, or you pay them 5%, or you pay them 15%, depending on what your agreement with that entity is. And some of them could even say that they want a stake in your business for giving you a loan. The advantage, which is also the pros, is that you are able to retain full ownership, right, and control, right? And there's also tax deductible interest payments, like I said initially. The disadvantage of using loans to fund your business is that it sometimes, most of the times, actually require collateral or personal guarantees. There's also monthly repayment obligation, and there's limited access to large amounts of capital. Because if you decide to say that this is what you want to go for, then it means that you need to be sure that your business would be yielding or will be bringing in revenue monthly, because you do not want to put yourself in that position where you are running to assess financial support and you are doing nothing to ensure that the business on its own side will yield the necessary financial results, right, in terms of sales and revenue that it is expected, because you do not want to be servicing a loan with your personal fund. It is not wise to do that. You will find it very, very difficult to scale. You will find it very, very difficult to scale. So when you know that what you want to do is that you want to assess loan, be sure that the business by its own self can pay back the loan, and not that you are supporting on your own personal fund, or you need to get another loan again to be able to pay that off. It's not advisable to do that. Now, the most popular of them all is the angel investors, right? Everybody is familiar with angel investors. Oftentimes, angel investors are individuals who are very, very good business sense, right? They have very, very good knowledge of the business ecosystem. And most of the time, these people, the only thing that they commit themselves to is to support startups. And there are different ways that they do that, right? But the most common is that they provide finance to the startups and they make these funds available to them. Now, the advantage of this is that you do not only have access to the funds, which is the money, right, that they make available, you also have access to their expertise, right? You have access to the expertise that comes in the form of mentoring, right? In the form of mentoring. So sometimes they could provide both capital, and then you could make them an advisory on your board. Now, depending on what the negotiation and what that investor is willing to commit, right, into your startup is what determines the extent to which they want to be involved. So the moment you know that you want to approach or engage an angel investor, you should know that you will no longer have 100% ownership of your business, right? Because this is what these guys do for a living. They look for businesses that they can fund, right? And they do that not because they just want to collect or they want to have a stake in your business, but this is what they do. They love to build and invest in business, and they love to roll up their sleeves and to be involved, right, in the building and in the execution of some of the plans and strategies that you have set up, right, for yourself and for your team, that these are the things that you want to do, and this is why you need this fund that you are requesting for. So you have access to both their expertise and the mentoring, and you also have opportunity to access larger funding amounts compared to your personal savings and loans. Now, I want you to pay into consideration that the fact that I'm saying that there are pros and cons is not to say that the cons are outright disadvantages to you as a startup. We are doing all of this so that you can weigh for yourself the things that you need. Because one thing I often tell my people is that as a business owner, as a founder or co-founder, as a CEO, even if you may not be the founder, right? You are a critical element within the organization. And the reason why you are a critical element within your organization is because you are a decision maker. And when you are making a decision, you should understand that the fate of not just the organization is resting on your shoulder, but also the fate of your team is also resting on your shoulder. You have a lot of people, right, that you are making this decision on behalf of, and they are looking up to you. So the reason why we are making all of these things available to you is to help you to know what are the things that are on the table, right? So that you can make the right decision. So if I'm saying cons, I'm not saying cons to discourage you. I'm just saying it so that you can know what are the things that are available for you. Please feel free to put your questions in the comment section. I will pick it up once we are done with this presentation, right? So the cons for angel investors is that you have loss of control and ownership, right? And there's potential conflict of interest between yourself as the founder and the investor, right? Because it's different when you are the only one who is in charge of the business. But the moment a person is having a stake in it, right, they also have a thing or the other that are their own goals and ambitions. There's a way that an investor feels like a business should be done, or it could even be disparity with regards areas or locations that you should focus on. It could even be a disparity or a conflict of interest with regards how should you package the product, or which product should be your major product that you will launch the business with, right? So when we are talking about conflict of interest, it's not necessarily because they want to collect the business entirely from you. They are oftentimes, not in all of the cases, they are oftentimes with relations to things that has to do with operations, or things that has to do maybe sometimes with management. But then once you have the ability to clearly articulate what you want, right, there could always be points or ground for negotiation. So it means that when you want to go into such kind of venture, you need to ensure that you are not going into this alone. You have your lawyers, and you also are very, very clear on what you want to achieve upfront, even before you approach an angel investor. There's also limited availability in certain areas or industries when it comes to approaching angel investors. Some investors are just interested in investing in certain industry. I remember I had a call with somebody this morning. He's a startup in Abuja, and he's into health and wellness. And it was like, Omotola, please, I will need your support and your advice with regards to where I can access fund. He does health and wellness, right? And he wants to know areas that he can access fund. And then I had to tell him, at the moment, I don't think I'm very, very familiar with any opportunity available yet. But one thing is certain, most organizations within the tech and Web3 ecosystem are assessing fund like pure water in this season. Because if you look at the trend and the trajectory of the business ecosystem, they are tilting more towards that ground. So I'm saying this to say that sometimes it could be difficult for you to access funding from an angel investor because the area that they are focusing on may not be in your industry. That is also, that can also be one of the disadvantage. Now, another popular one, the most popular, right, alongside the angel investor are venture capitalists, right? Venture capitalists are also similar to angel investors, very similar, right? These most of the time are not necessarily individuals, but corporations, organizations that are given to providing capital fundings to organizations. The advantage of engaging a venture capital is that you have access to substantial funding and resources for rapid growth. You also have access to expertise and industry knowledge from a VC firm, right? This is not just an individual. An individual could be an angel investor can be part of a venture capital firm, right? So this sometimes can be a group of entity that are given to supporting startups, right? So that's just the major difference between an angel investor and a venture capitalist, right? The cons is that there is loss of significant ownership and control, right? Most of the time, the shares that a VC would request from as against what an angel investor would request for might be more. And this is often because what a VC might be bringing to the table may be more than an angel investor's share, right, that they are also committing to you. Another con of engaging a venture capitalist is that there is usually high expectations for growth and returns. And I have seen many startups, right, that has accessed funds from VCs. I have seen that many times they are put under positions where they are so agitated and they are unnecessarily applying pressure on their team simply because they have accessed funds from VC. And many times I often tell startups, when you know that you are not capable, not structurally capable, and your business does not have the viability, right, in the market to be able to provide the kind of result that VCs are looking for. Many times I do not encourage startups to engage a VC because at that point you are at a conflict because you don't know what you should focus on. Should you focus on profitability or should you focus on growth? When you are focusing on profitability, you want to begin to ensure that your effort is centered around making money. How do we make money? How do we make money? How do we engage into partnership that will make us money? But when you are focusing on growth, you are looking more towards expansion. You are looking more towards ensuring that you have visibility, you have reach into new markets. You are not necessarily focusing on making money, but then you know that in the long run, the end result of your expansion strategy would be that revenues are made at the end of the day, right? So that's often the difference between when you're engaging a VC because their demands are much, right? Their demands are pretty high, pretty much. And if you do not have the plan, right, laid out clearly, right, to be able to meet up with their expectations, right, it could put you under unnecessary pressure. And they are also a kind of, they have a kind of process, right, that is subject the startups to a lot of due diligence documentations that are set in motion, right, extensive due diligence and also extensive negotiation processes because of the demands, like I said initially, that they want, the stake that they want within the organization. I would really want to encourage us to get familiar with the Lion's Den, right? You can see what those guys are doing with businesses that comes to them to request for loan. And you can have an idea of what negotiation looks like between an angel investor or a VC, right, with a startup. That way you have an idea of what to expect and how to prepare yourself. And it's so amazing that one of the reasons why you are here in this program is also to help you to know how to answer questions when these guys are engaging you, should you decide to approach them, depending on where you find yourself in your startup growth stage. There's also what we call crowdfunding, right? After this one, then we have the last one, which is the government grants, right? We have crowdfunding. And crowdfunding is a situation, I don't know if we are familiar with GoFundMe, right? GoFundMe is that platform where a person signs up on the platform and then you share your problem, right, with the public, and then you request for a particular amount of money, and there's a wallet or a purse that should anybody understand and can relate with what you are sharing as your story, right, and the reason why you are requesting for their financial support, then they pay into that purse. Of course, the platform gets a share at the end of the day, but then that's also a way that you can raise funds. A lot of businesses leverages on a lot of business leverage rather on crowdfunding, and it could be an option for you if you do not want to take advantage of other options that are on the table for you. The pros, which is the advantages of accessing fund through crowdfunding, is that you have access to a wide pool of potential investors or customers, right? There's also a validation of products. Many organizations that I have seen that have used crowdfunding are organizations that are at the early stage of implementation or early stage of entering into the market with their product or service. So sometimes they use this crowdfunding to test the accessibility, right? Or not necessarily accessibility, they use this crowdfunding to test if the market really wants their products, right? Because sometimes they have not even implemented or they've not launched. So depending on how people respond to their campaign, depending on how people see the need to have them operational, right, in the market, right, depending on how they are able to connect to the market to the point where they are, the market feels like you guys need to operate. We need you in the market. And because we believe in what you're doing, we will give you this, right? We will support you with this. And sometimes the people that you find within that pool are not just restricted to angel investors. They are not restricted to venture capitalists, right? They could be any persons. They could be your customers. They could be your neighbors. They could be your family members. They could be anyone. So long as you have made it public, you have made your campaign public, anyone can have access to it, right? And this is why we said that the advantage or the pros of a wide pool of crowdfunding is that you have access to a wide pool of potential investors or customers, and there's also the validation of your product or business ideas. It can also help you to generate brand awareness and drive customer loyalty, right? Because when you are already seeing tractions, right, for a business or a product line, sometimes people who are introducing new product line also launch this, even if they are already functioning within the market, right? So sometimes they just do this to be able to see how much of presence. Sometimes an organization uses it for the purpose of listening to the market, right? Feedbacks to the market about what is the perception of the market about them. So you could also decide to do that, right? You could decide to do that even as a startup. Set up a GoFundMe account or any kind of crowdfunding platform that allows people. I think people are more familiar with crowdfunding when it comes to requesting for support for surgeries and health-related problems. But the truth is, if you go out there to the international space, a lot of businesses, if you go to GoFundMe today, you will see a lot of businesses that are leveraging on that platform to access funds from the public. The disadvantage of the crowdfunding type of funding for startup is that it is time consuming, right? Because you will need to wait for a number of months, days, weeks, depending on how compelling your story is. I think that is where the conversation around creating a value proposition, a compelling value proposition would come in after this. Because really, if you are really going to sell your business to any of this type of startup funders, right, that I've said, you really need to be able to sell your business in the most compelling right way, because the essence of this is that you want to be able to trigger an action. You want to be able to connect with them emotionally. You want to be able to get them to see into your mind, to be able to see the beautiful picture that you have in your mind about your business and the kind of impact that you want to be able to make in the market by the reason of providing your services and selling your product in the market. And if you cannot do that, then it means you can't get them to believe in you, and you can't get them to dip their hands into their pockets and give you money to run your business, right? So these are things that you might also want to consider. So it is time consuming. Legal and regulatory considerations also come in. There's also limited funding amount compared to VC and angel investors, right? And lastly, we want to talk about government grants. I know many people understand this. Governments do not provide loans. Governments do not provide the type of funds that VCs and angel investors provide. Most of the time, if not in all of the cases, what government provide is grants or are grants, right? And government grants are non-repayable funds provided by government agencies or organizations to support specific activities, projects, or sectors. I think before I joined this call, I was reading on Nairametrics what the Lagos State agency in charge of business community said. So they are willing to partner with development agencies to help support businesses in Nigeria, especially organizations that are invested in creating a community who have hubs where startups are congregated, right? They are willing to partner with them. And I know that one of the ways through which they are going to be partnering is by providing grants and also providing training opportunities, right? So when you talk about government grants, they are not refundable, meaning that they will not ask you to pay them back. It is one of the channels through which the governments develop the economy, right? So they believe that if they are able to support startups or they are able to support people to be entrepreneurial, right, jobs will be created. And that is why many world institutions, many VCs, right, if you look at the SDG goals, one of the SDG goals that you will find is job creation, right? So most of the time, if it is expected that startups support the government's goal, right, with regards providing jobs. And if you are going to be providing jobs, they know that you will need funds. And if they also want you to be profitable, which would in turn make you taxable, they also need to be able to create the economy, the environment to make your operations, right, really, really conducive, to make your environment conducive and comfortable for you. So that's why they often make grants available. The advantage or the pros of assessing government grants is that they are non-dilutive, right? That is, there's nothing like we don't want this money to mix with that money so that we can know exactly how much came from government, so we know how much we want to pay back. No, there's nothing like that. There's no form of dilution in that. Whatever money comes into your purse, your company's purse from the government, you know it is from your organization. It is even okay for you to put it under one of the channels for revenue that came in through your revenue channels, because it's not refundable, right? It is a government buying into your value proposition, buying into what you sold to them as a business. So it is also a form of you having engaged in a transaction with government by saying that this is what we do, this is what we are doing, and this is what we want to do. And they're like, okay, we like it, we believe it, and then take. So that's a form of revenue for you. So it is non-dilutive funding. And there's also support for research and development, innovation, or social impact initiatives that enhances credibility and attracts additional funding. So many times, organizations that have been able to access government grants, oftentimes you have a good chance or a high chance of receiving grants from other people, right? And like I said, funding from government could come in various ways. I remember several times while I was in my growth stage also, I'm still in my growth stage, of course, many platforms will ask you, have you received grants before? And this grant could either be in the form of fund, like money being paid, or it could be fund that comes in the area of scholarship to train or to pick up a developmental initiative, right, or program to help you support your business. So you will see them asking you questions like that. So, which is why I would want to encourage you, whatever opportunity that you get, to assess funding either by scholarship or by real like money in your account sitting there to help you fund your business, right? It is good that you take such initiatives because they help you create a portfolio that is attractive to investors at the end of the day, because they want to know if you are somebody who is accountable. They want to know if you are credible. They want to know if you have that integrity that they would want to associate with. The disadvantage of government grants is that it is highly competitive, right? Because everybody knows that it is non-refundable. A lot of persons want to run towards it, and it is stringent. It has stringent application process. It is restrictive eligibility. It has restrictive eligibility criteria because of many demands, right? Because there are a lot of people, so they really want to put a lot of protocols around this. There are a lot of standard that is expected. You have certain, you should be registered. All of those documentations are expected. If you want to access government fund, you should be registered on SMEDAN, right? If you are not, you should do that. And you should even have your SMEDAN certificates. I think it's free. I did mine in 2018 or 17, after operating for like 3-4 years before doing that, right? So you could just register yours, go on SMEDAN, SMEDAN, and just register your business and get your certificate. Because if you that's the only way you can be able to access fund from the government, right? And it's also, it wants to put you within a box, right? Because sometimes they just want to fund some specific projects, the same way some VCs are only interested in certain industries. But sometimes it is not usually the case, right? But then whatever is the case, ensure that some of the basic thing that is expected that you should have, your CAC, whether it is your business name or you're registered as a business entity, so long as you have any of that, you are eligible to having government funds. All right, so let me stop here, right? Before I go on to start talking about other things, right? Do we have any contribution or questions? Right? We have spent 40 minutes. I've spent 40 minutes. Do I have any questions or contribution? Because I do not want to load us too much with information. Do I have any question? We have less than an hour. Yeah, for us to pick up. Any questions? Any contribution? Is it country or country? Contribution. Hello? Why is this place quiet like this? Is it that you're enjoying my voice so much that you don't want to say anything? Please speak. Do we have any question?
Please speak. Oh, thank you very much, Omotola. Please ask your questions now.
Yeah.
Is there any clarification you want? Okay.
Yes, you're speaking.
I said no question from my own end.
Okay, so what could you get from everything you said?
Yeah, talk about funding and how we can access fund. You talk about the last one that you talked about was the SMEDAN, that there's need for us to get the SMEDAN certificate, and also for the CAC for those who doesn't have their CAC certificate, and also friends, angel investors can invest in our business, and for the what's it called? There's this VC. I've forgotten the full meaning. That for that VC, it comes with some conditions. So you check yourself if you have those conditions that if you satisfy this condition, if not, it will pull you backwards because you'll be running to meet with that responsibility. So, and like as you said, I have in my own experience, I encountered an organization that's okay, we are investing in your business. Okay, now if we invest in your business and for 5 years, we'll invest in the business, but you are going to give us like 50% equity. I looked at it and said 50% equity is too much, at least, because I don't know what tomorrow holds. Maybe if I get married, my daughter, my sons, or my wife, they may just say, okay, let me just give them like 10% equity or 5% equity. At the end of the day, I will lose ownership of the business completely. I said it's not possible. I bargained with them for 10% equity. They said no. I said, "Oh, go with your this thing." That was just it. So at least
Yeah.
that experience alone really uh,
Open you
you
up
saying
to what
it,
is out there.
yes, exactly. So though I was still by in that, but because I've been hearing of how investors, because most times investors will just look at you as an entrepreneur and say, okay, and they would want to take that decision from you, that vision from you, because they've
Mm.
already strategized, they are well ready to take it over from you. So if you're not careful, you will lose it to them. Your big vision, you will lose it to them and end up working for investors.
Well,
So we need to be
that's
extremely
why,
careful.
if you remember, that's why I said before you approach any of these tables, you need to be very clear on what you want. Sometimes,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Sometimes, sometimes it may look like you have 20% in your business and you've let out, 80%, right, to investors, like not just one of them. But do you know that sometimes it's not in all of the cases, right? Having a little stake in an abundance is more, right, than having a major stake in little.
Just stake in little.
I don't know if you understand
I
that.
don't know if you understand.
I understand. I understand.
Yeah. So it all depends. It all depends on the business and what is your vision, what is your personal vision, right? And you also need to really have a good business sense to be able to do some degree of projection, right? And this is not something you want to do alone. Many times I laugh when I see people who want to approach investors and then you're outsourcing your documentations to agencies that you are not contributing to also personally, right? You don't even have an idea of
Um,
what.
there is an award that we're supposed to fill. I was looking at it. I just told
Hello,
you.
Mr. Bosu, can you mute yourself? I think he's having a call and he's interrupting. All right, thank you. Right, so there's a need for you to go into that engagement with your eyes open, However, it doesn't matter how attractive the offer is. If you think that it's going to put your business at risk, you turn it down. So you need to have dealt with covetousness. You need to have dealt with greed, right? You can't enter into a VC's office or an angel investor's office, or you can't approach any of this table with that mind that is not very clear on exactly what it wants. The decision you are making should be in the best interest of the business and not just even you as a person. That is very, very important. Somebody said she asked a question. A situation where someone has an angel investor and the person manipulates you into changing your business name to one of his company name because you need the money so much, then you're obliged. Is there any consequences to that? There's no consequences because you agreed, except they put you at a position where they put gun in your head and they put knife on your throat. You agreed and you put your hands in the paper. It seems we need to really understand that when it comes to business, right, in the business ecosystem, your pen and your paper, that is the biggest power that you have. Whatever you have been able to put on the paper and you have signed or appended your signature to, it stands anywhere in the world, which is why you need to be very, very careful when it comes to entering into agreements or into a contract with another entity. As small as a single paper that you tear from a book, the moment you have written your name, the person's name, written down something and you have signed it, that thing is obtainable in the court of law. So you should be careful. What is the difference between angel investors and crowdfunding? I already did it. I already did the explanation, but then an angel investor is a single person, right? A person who has the expertise and the money to fund your business. Why crowdfunding is when you access a platform like GoFundMe, right? And then you go on that platform to open an account and you set up your account, right? Your name, your business name, your address, what your business does and all that. And then there's a place where they will ask you, how much do you need? You put it there, $10,000. Why do you need it? What is your story? You put it there and then you share it. On that particular channel, you can decide to distribute the campaign on every social media channels that you know. And I think in a nutshell, in a simple term, that's how I can explain funding to you. Crowdfunding is you using a platform to assess the public, to communicate your need for fundings to them, and then they read your story and they pay you, right? Is it better to owe 100% or, thank you very much, Mr. Igwe. This is exactly what I said, but it is better to have little of abundance than to have an abundance of little, which is what he just shared here, just thinking out loud. Is it better to owe 100% of 1 million or 60% of 1 billion? Me, I would rather want to have 60% of 1 billion than 100% of 1 million, because sometimes people just want to be known as the CEO of something or the sole something of something. So we need to be smart, right? We need to be very, very smart. So Amarachi says, then when one feels he or she can stand financially, can the person pull off from the, I don't understand, Amarachi, do you want to speak? Do you want to speak or do you want to rephrase your question? So that we can go to the next session. I want to appreciate everyone for their contribution, actually.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay, it still goes to that same question I wrote about angel investor trying to manipulate you into having change your company's name or your business name to his or her own, and then you feel that you are like you feel that you've gone far in the business and you are financially stable to stand on your own. You don't need the angel investor. Is there can you pull off? Can you say you don't, like, you are no more doing at that point?
Well, it depends on the agreement that you have with the angel investors from the onset, right? Sometimes many of them enter into a life like, and I don't want to say it can now, like a very long time contract. Sometimes it could just be for a period of years, and then they sell back their equity to you or they sell it off to someone else. So it depends on what it is that you agreed on. So you need to be very, very clear. So the truth is, I could be somebody who wants to invest in your business. And maybe the reason why I'm doing that is because I just want to help you within your first 5 years. And then I will say that I'm going to sell it off after 5 years because I don't really intend to stay too long in this industry. I'm just looking for a way to put my money to help a person, maybe for the sake of philanthropy or something. So every investor has what they are known to negotiate or to invest into. If you go to Crunchbase, right? Crunchbase is it Crunchbase? I'm coming. Let me see. Let me go on Google so that I can be sure of the pronounce Crunch. Yes, it's called Crunchbase, right? If you go to crunchbase.com, let me copy it, copy link. If you go to crunchbase.com, you will see a pool, right, of organizations that are that have received fundings, different type of funding, right? And you will see the type of, you also see the different investors, VCs that are also there, and the type of industries or businesses that these people invest into, right? So we can have 10 investors and what they are investing into is different, very, very different. And their terms and their conditions are also different. But then you need to ask yourself, what do I want? So if you go to www.crunchbase.com, crunchbase, mentorship.com. Then you can have access to those information. Is
Yes,
that fine?
ma. Yes, ma'am. Fine. Thank you, ma.
All right. All right. So I want us to go into the next segment. I don't know if I have all the time. Mr. Igwe and Bosun, do we still have time?
I think Linda needs to advise because I
Linda.
saw that based on the schedule, there is a session for 10 p.m. I mean, sorry, 3 p.m. I don't know if people here are supposed to be a part of it, or maybe it is for a different group entirely. Linda needs to confirm that. But I think
Yeah.
we have.
Miss Linda.
Okay,
Hello?
I've not heard from the mentor, but if I hear from her, I think we'll have to pause. But I think we can
Okay.
go on.
All right, thank you.
Please, I can't hear you.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. All right, so let me go. Joseph had said I should write down. All right, so let me go to the next slide. All right, crafting a compelling value proposition. You remember when I was talking about either approaching an angel investor or a venture capitalist, I said something about your ability to be able to create a compelling value proposition. Your value proposition is the same thing that I would want to, compare it to when a guy approaches a lady. Don't mind me. Many times when I am doing my training sessions in my sales training, I usually love to compare the conversation between a brand and their target market, right, to a conversation between a guy who sees a lady that he likes, and the things that this guy would need to package as his wooings, right? The things that he would package to say to this lady to get her to say, boy, I'm him, I'm down. Like, I would love to be a girlfriend. Is that like, those kind of things, right? That's why the reason is because the guy knows that he needs to do a lot, right? There are certain things that the lady is looking out for. There are certain things that she's watching, right, from behind the socket in her eye, right? These things would, at the end of the day, form the basis for her judgments that would trigger her saying yes, or that would trigger her saying no, and that could even trigger an annoyance of like, look at you, look at me. Do you know who you are talking to? How can you look at me like this and you owe me, you walk up to me, right? There are so many things that could trigger such kind of response. And to a large extent, right, many of these factors are dependent on the guy and not necessarily on the mindset of the lady. Of course, there's also the place of the mindset of the lady with regards to a response to the guy. But I'm saying this to say that to a very, very large extent, the way the guy communicates, right, his desire and his intentions to her, to a large extent, will determine whether she will say yes or no. In the same vein, when it comes to a brand and the target audience, right? In this case, your target audience is not just your markets that you're selling to. Your target audience, for me, is your venture capitalist. Your target audience is your angel investor. Your target audience are the people that you want to speak to the public through the crowdfunding platform. It could even be your friends or your customers, your church members that you want to give you a loan, right? And at the same time, your target audience can even be the markets that you want to sell your new products or your new service line to, right? So when it comes to crafting a compelling value proposition, you must really understand exactly what it is, right? So when it comes to creating a value proposition, if you look at the image that I have here, right, you're seeing, where do you choose to compete? Do you want to compete on the basis of services, or is it information, right? Is it knowledge? Is it experience? Is it convenience? Is it delivery? of your services, right? What is that thing that makes you unique, right? So whatever it is that you want to create as your value proposition, all right, that makes you different, it will most of the time fall within these 6 categories. Is it the type of service that you're selling or providing that makes you unique? Is it how you deliver your services that makes you different? Is it the convenience or the ease of use that makes you unique? Is it the experience that you have in the business or the combination of experiences of the people that are on the team that are mostly at the decision-making seats? Is it that combination of experiences, right, that makes you different? Is that your value proposition? Or is it the extensive knowledge that you have about the industry and about the solutions that you ought to provide to the needs of that market that makes you distinct? Or is it the information that you are bringing, right? So these are the things that forms altogether your value proposition, or what some people will call your unique selling points. Because at the end of the day, wherever it is that you choose to compete is what will result into your entire client experience, or it will result in the client's outcome, what they would enjoy when they engage you. A value proposition is a vital element in differentiating your product or service from competitors, right? That's just in a nutshell what it is. Your ability to differentiate yourself from the market. Everybody is wearing white and blue, black, but you decide to step into the market and you wear orange. You know for sure that you will stand out. Enter into a market where everybody is an all-white party. They just open the market and they say everybody will wear white. Some people are wearing cordless, some people are wearing kaftan, some people are wearing skirt and blouse, some people are wearing jeans, but then everybody's wearing white. But then you decide to put on a pink. I'm coming, please. Someone is at the door. So it all depends actually on the things that you want to invest into, right, as a startup, or the things that you want to do with regards to how you want to be perceived as, right, in the market. These are the things that makes you different. So let's take a look at it. How do you craft a compelling value proposition for yourself as a startup? So in order to be able to create a compelling value proposition, the most important elements are the things that I have listed here. Number 1 is a customer problem, right? Number 2, the key features. Number 3, unique solution. And number 4, customer value. These are the things that you put together as your consideration when you are creating a compelling value proposition. This value proposition I'm talking about is what you say to people when they ask you, right? Tell me, what do you do? What's your business into? What are you all about? Can you, in just a few seconds, talk about your business, right? That short sentence that you say, right? That punchline that you say when a person asks you, tell me about given enterprise. That short statement you make is your value proposition. Is the thing that guy says to that lady, and her brain just do bang, bang, bang. Guy, this guy's got some words in him, right? So you need to be able to look at, how do I craft this? Because from that point, it is either you are able to hook the attention of a person or a set of people, or you lose it, right? So that's why these 4 things that are here are the things that you need to be able to clearly be able to articulate. You'll clearly be able to define, and you can put all of them together to form a sentence about what makes your business unique, right? So when it comes to identifying your customer problem, you need to be able to identify the pinpoint that exists within the the markets that you are seeking to sell to. And you should be able to demonstrate an understanding of that problem. Meaning that when you are communicating your value proposition and you decide to highlight what is the pain point that you've been able to find out, the people listening to it that you seek to sell to should be able to hear it and relate with it. And that would show that you really understand what they are going through and that you know what you mean when you're saying that this your product or this your service is created to solve that problem. Another thing is that your value proposition highlights the features of your product or service that makes it stand out. Another thing is that when it comes to creating a compelling value proposition, you are creating a solution that differentiates your business from your competitor, right? Another thing is that you are communicating the financial or non-financial benefits the customer will gain, right? When it comes to your business. So take, for instance, if you scroll up the comment section and you see what, if you scroll up and you see what Gifts shared, right? As when I asked her, what do you do about your business? She said, Given Enterprise is this. We do this for this in order for you to be able to do this. That is your value proposition. That is you communicating what your business is all about, right? And I needed to, applaud her for doing that, because I remember the last time she was going to introduce her business, I knew what she put there, right? So these are things that, for me, I feel like when you begin to create your value proposition for your business, it is possible that it changes after a period of time, which may be due to the fact that your business also has developed, right? Or maybe you have gotten more clarity about how your business is playing in the market and the things that you want to be able to do in the market to impact on them. When you're crafting your value proposition statements, you need to be very clear and concise. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hold on. Thank you very much, Omotola. I saw Joseph Fats and up. I guess he wants to ask a question.
Oh, okay. Okay, go on. Josephat. Should I go on?
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon,
Good
everyone.
afternoon.
Okay. I think you cleared what I wanted to ask.
I can't hear you.
Like, you've answered the question already, so there's no need.
Oh, what was the question?
What was the question?
Sorry?
I said, what was the question?
Okay.
What was the question?
With regards to the value proposition, and you said something about when you meet someone, the value proposition is the first thing, like, is what you use in convincing the person. So I was I wanted to ask you if it's the same thing as your elevator pitch, like, because that's the term I'm
Yes, your elevator speech.
in the second sentence.
Okay. Yeah, in your elevator speech is your value proposition. Yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for that. So yes, in your elevator speech is your value proposition. I'm sure some of us may not know where the term elevator speech came to be. The story behind the elevator speech is, I don't know if you're familiar with the Wall Street, right? The Wall Street is that location, just like we have in Ikeja, where we have localization of businesses of the same types, right? In that location in Ikeja. So the Wall Street is that place where you have different kind of businesses in the complex. There's a street where like you have different kind of organizations, mostly within the finance, exchange corporations, and all of that. So many times people who need salespeople who need people to buy their products or who need people to invest into their business, they know that they cannot, they were finding it difficult to assess people on the call, right? There was that period of time was a time where there were a lot of cold callings, right? Cold outreaches. And people sometimes just bang the call on them, or they do not even have time to assess them. So salespeople now began to look out, okay, how can we assess these people? Because they are the ones that have the money. They are the business people of our time that has the money. How could we assess them? So they began to go to this Wall Street. But then this Wall Street is a very tall building, and the only way they can have access to this chairman of businesses, to these directors, to these managers, is by meeting them at the elevator as they are going up to their offices. So how the term elevator pitch came into being was that the short period of time that chairman would take to move from the ground floor to his next floor where his office is situated, that is the only time that salesperson has, or that business person has, to pitch his business or to pitch his service or product. And whoever it is that you are able to get within that short period of time, it could be 30 seconds, it could be 40 seconds. It's not usually up to 1 minute, right? That is the only time that you get to get the attention, right? So that's how the term elevator speech came to be, right? And it became a concept that we begin to deploy, right? Or to work with within the sales and the business ecosystem. So when you're talking about elevator speech, you're not talking about that long statement that you're making about your business. You're talking about the shortest way possible that you're able to communicate to a person about your business and about what you do. And for you to do that, you really, really need to clearly understand what your value proposition is, right? And that's why we're having this. So thank you for that question. So when it comes to creating the value proposition statement, you need to be very clear and concise. Concise means short, right? The value proposition must be brief and easy to understand. The statement should be targeted to your target audience. This is not where you start talking about how beautiful your idea is or how wonderful your team is, right? You also need to be able to highlight your product features in a way that demonstrates your understanding of the customer benefits. So for me, if I want to create if I want to tell you what the value proposition of my business development service is, I tell you, or let me say I want to talk about my training, right? I have a service within my organization that trains salespeople and marketing executives or business development people. So I tell you that, okay, my name is Omotola and Bosun, right? And I work with virtual domain. What we do is that we provide. Hello, can you mute yourself? Hello. Please, can you help us meet that person so we have a good experience here? So I could just tell you that my name is Omotola and Bosun, and I work with virtual domain. We provide a performance. Hello.
Hello, Omotola. Sorry for the interruption. So I was even going to speak to the elevator pitch you talked about, really. And I feel it is important that everybody tries to attempt to the best of their ability the lean canvas, because you have to be able to articulate your thoughts in very clear and concise manner, in the sense that when a person wakes you or when you are deep in sleep, you're able to talk about your business. Until you actually really write this thing down, it might be difficult for you to articulate it well. So because if you are going to sell a vision, you're going to sell a dream to any person, you must have owned it enough to understand it and to clearly communicate it to the person that you need to pitch it to. And like you mentioned, just imagine the length of time you have to spend in the elevator. Then you want to get somebody's buy-in into what you are trying to offer to them. It's very short. So you should be able to explain. Just imagine when Twitter was launched. Twitter gave you the opportunity to express yourself in 140 letters. So that means you have the option of 140 letters, even with the space, the comma, and everything, to explain your thoughts, such in a very short and concise manner. They say brevity is the soul of wit. And what are the things you need to know? And that is the reason why it is important for us to keep talking about the place of value proposition, so that you can know exactly what it is that you have to get done as an individual who owns a business. So just basically 4 things that you have to pay attention to. What is your business name? And what is your business category? Your business name and category will follow. So let's say we have a quadrant, we have 4 components of a basic elevator pitch. There's another one called napkin pitch, that if you meet somebody at the restaurant who doesn't have your time, how can you draw out a napkin and draw what your business offerings are, or what the proposed solution you are trying to sell to the person. So what's your product name and category? What specific problem or need are you trying, what problem are you trying to solve, or what need are you trying to meet? What is the solution that you are proposing to solve the problem that is of strategic importance? Then what is the benefit of your solution? Because every time you have to sell something to somebody, because humans are inherently selfish, they have to consider what is in this thing for me. So it's not for me to drop money for you, or for me to even give you listening here. You know, she had to even liken it to dating. You have to do extra to get the babe, or you have to do extra to get the guy. So what benefit is the person going to derive from the solution you are offering them? So 4 things basically. So you're looking at your product name and category, you're looking at the problem that you're attempting to solve, and you're also looking for, you're talking about the proposed solution to the problem or to the need, then the key benefits of the solution. And all of these things have to be very short. So because nobody will give you you don't even have 5 minutes to communicate your value proposition. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Hence, it is important for everybody to use that tool that has been given, so that you can articulate your thoughts in a very clear and concise manner, such that anytime, any day, you can communicate effectively. And because when you write down these things, it even helps you to declutter, because you can have many things in your head, but necessity is now placed on you to share the basic information, yet very important. So I feel everybody, after this class, if you have not worked on your lean canvas, you should do it. It is important, please, so that all the efforts would not just be in vain, and you would be happy you do it. I can tell you that. Thank you. Omotola, I'm yielding to you.
Thank you very much. Like, to be candid, I think Gift was able to clearly articulate a value proposition after the lean Canva. I know she was one of the people that sent me their lean Canva, and we had to send her back like 3 or 4 times. In my mind, when I was doing that, I was hoping that she would not tell me that I'm stressing her, right? And to be candid, that's why I was happy when I saw what she posted. And like Bosun said, when they wake you up, what do you do? That's why I was I really did wish that we had passed the test that I made when I asked us, what do you do about your business? As a startup, as a business owner, if there's anything that you should always be passionate about, it doesn't matter whether it is convenient or not. When you are asked, what do you do? What's your business about? That's often the litmus test for you to want to know if you are even really passionate about what you're doing. When you find yourself in a place, you go for networking events, and then the person is asking you, hi, my name is this, who are you? You tell them who you are. So what are you into? What do you sell? Are you a business owner or you're an employee? That short moment that you have to introduce your business, all of the things that Bosun highlighted are the things that should be there. And I was trying to give an example of what I would rationally say if you wake me up from the sleep and tell me, okay, Omotola, what do you do? In my head, I have 3 product lines. I have 3 service lines. Now, depending on my engagement with you is what will help me determine what I'm saying to you. Because I see that you are a salesperson, right? Because we met in a sales environment or in a sales networking event, I'll tell you, my name is Omotola Doctors. I work with Virtual Domain. And what we do is that we provide performance enhancement training, right, for salespeople, right? And they're able to do that without really breaking the bank. That's my sales pitch. That's my value proposition. And that's all you need to know about me. The more you engage with me, the more you now begin to know other things extensively. But because I have understood you, and I have also understood what the people within the market that falls into your category often experience, I know that many salespeople find it difficult to really be able to really hit their target, get themselves sometimes out of that hole of lack of confidence where they feel like they are not able to achieve their target and they're already feeling like, are they even really good enough, right? That's why I decided, okay, let us create a service. Let us create a training service. And what this training service will do is that rather than trying to say we want to teach them how to become a salespeople, no, we are not teaching them. They are already salespeople. And we know that they're already good. But what we will do is that we want to tell them that we want to give them a performance enhancement program. So it means that we acknowledge the fact that they are already achieving results. We acknowledge the fact that they are already good at their job. But what we just want to do is that we want to enhance it. We want to make it more. We want to give them more. So now in that small thing that I just tell you that we provide performance enhancement program for salespeople without really breaking the bank, is me saying that I want to work with you by training you to teach you how to look for ways to make the result that you are getting right now to be more than it is. And you will be able to use my service without you really spending so much. Now, you know that spending so much is relative. So I don't need to say that you will not, it's cheap. I don't need to say it's affordable. No, I don't like using such kind of words in my value proposition because sometimes you are either selling yourself short or you are also overselling yourself. So I'd rather say that you will assess it without you breaking the bank. Now, how much a person can spend on their career development or personal development is relative. So depending on how you are now able to communicate and your understanding of this person's process, what will now determine the extensive details that you will then go to if the person is really interested in it, right? I think that should make sense. So let's do a test, right? Let me see if I'm able to stop sharing. Let's do a test. I think we should stop here. I don't want to go into market segmentation. I want to believe that Mr. Bosun will do that because basically, I don't think I have so much to say about market segmentation. And the basic thing I just wanted to talk about market segmentation, which I believe that we must have touched in our sessions with him, is how you are able to understand the market that you are selling to and who are the people within that market that you are selling to. Because in your markets are your segmented, in the general market are the segmented markets. So first, you need to be able to understand what audience you're selling to, and then divide your customers into different groups based on their characteristics, behavior, and needs. Once you are able to do that, then you've been able to segmentize your market. And then after doing that, you may want to also evaluate the segment for potentials, right? And then profitability, meaning that you really want to look at it. What is the type of product or service that you have that can sell to these different groups or set of people that you've been able to divide into different groups. And then you choose the segment that aligns with your business goals. That's how you identify the segment within the market that would most likely embrace the service or product that you sell. That would also help you to know how to communicate. So you are somebody who is already selling footwear to males, right? To the males in the community. I would always tell you, all the males or all the male figure in the community are not your target audience, right? Because every one of them fall into different categories. That the person is educated is not even a license, that the person falls into the category of your market segment. So the people that you are selling to would most likely be thinking in a particular way. They will most likely have a particular preferences. They will most likely love to combine it with a particular type of fashion or trend or style, right? So your ability to be able to have that deep understanding will help you to know, okay, I sell to males who appreciate maybe African fashion and style, and maybe they are well-traveled, right? And they love quality, right? And these males are often people who are within the age of 25 to 65 or 70 years of age, right? And they mostly live in the urban areas. Do you understand? So that's one way that you can segment the people that you want to sell to. Because to say that I sell to all the males in Nigeria is like you saying that you can marry all the females in Nigeria, right? This is not to say that you are discriminating, but the truth is a guy cannot marry all the female types. You only marry the people that are compatible with you or to you. That's the same way when you are selling to a business. You need to be able to identify that group within the market, right? That possesses the characteristics, the behavior, and that has a need that you know that your products can solve, right? And once you've been able to do that, then it becomes easy for you to be able to, evaluate and tailor your messages and strategies, because how you approach a Yoruba lady, right, that has never been to the city is different from how you approach a Yoruba lady that all her life she has lived in the city. How you approach a Yoruba lady that has never been to Nigeria but was born in US but has a Yoruba descent. When you approach her, the way you would approach her will be different. How you approach an Igbo guy, right, when he is engaging you as a Igbo lady, right, you should understand that his sense or mindset when he's approaching you as a guy is definitely going to be different from an Igbo guy that never has he does not have any knowledge or inclination about the cultures and traditions of the Igbo people. And all he knows is that he's just from the Igbo descent. His name is Ikechukwu, but then he speaks fluently in the British language, the British English language. Do you understand? So you should know that the way these different people would behave is outrightly different. And if you're a brand, you should understand that, right? And this would affect the marketing strategy that you use. It will affect your go-to marketing strategy. It will affect the language that you're using. It will affect every single thing about how you seek or choose to engage them. It would even determine the types of marketing channels. Do you know that the people in China do not use WhatsApp? The people in China do not use the same type of TikTok that you use. The people in China, in Korea, I think North Korea, if I'm right, they do not have the unrestricted access that we have like this in Nigeria. They don't all have it. You cannot just sell to everybody in Canada using email marketing. There are protocols to guiding it. Even in marketing, when it comes to the universal principles and laws of marketing, every country has its laws and guidelines with how you can even have access to that community to sell to them or to use their data. Is it not very recently that we are hearing that the agency in charge of marketing in Nigeria has decided to sue Facebook, right? Because they did not go or abide by the policy that they set for them, right? If you know you want to sell to our people, you need to go through us and we need to verify and approve, right? So you should already know, if you don't have that understanding and you just want to come and sell to the Nigerian people from outside there, you know that you can easily get sued, right? It will bounce back, or it will just automatically go to their spam, and MailChimp will just block your account, or Sending Blue will just rebound your mails. So your ability to understand the uniqueness, right, the dynamics of the markets that you're selling to and the segment within that market is very, very important. So it can affect how you tailor your language, how you tailor your message, and also how you approach the markets, and what is the different marketing channel mix that you would leverage on. Because choosing the right marketing channels for each segment to reach them is what is what is critical to how effective you will be able to have access to them, or that you will even be able to communicate your value proposition to them, right? Once you've been able to put all of these things together, then positioning yourself in the market becomes easy. it becomes very, very easy, because at this point, you already understand what you are doing. What is the benefit of what you are doing? Who are you selling these things for? And how will this thing benefit them? What is the language that you want to use to communicate to these people? How do you want to communicate your value proposition to them, in what language? And what are the channels that you want to use to approach them? Once you've been able to factor that in, the positioning yourself becomes like bread and butter. Because when we are talking about positioning, we are talking about how you are able to create a very unique identity, a very, very unique perception about your brand in the minds of people, right? It means that you have been able to master to an extent what makes your product or service different. Gift, we say that what makes a service different is that she does not use anything that is not organic. She does not use any artificial elements in the production of her pap, right? I'm sure the person making shoes will say that we ensure that we have a direct access to the market where we are able to get quality materials, so that we don't need to spend so much to get the quality materials that will now make us to reduce the quality. So there are many things that makes you unique, right? And your ability to identify that is what will help you to be able to show how your product and service, right? How is it different, and how can it stand out with other competitors? What makes you stand out in the market to your competitors must be very significant. It should not be vague. It should be very, very significant. Very significant. My unique selling point in my organization is that we operate 80% virtually and 20% on site, such that your team or you can access our training wherever and however you want it, without you spending more. That is our unique selling point. So you should be able to really articulate it. What makes you different? And somebody might be wondering, why is 80% virtual and 20% online? Why is it a unique selling point? What makes it different? Well, from our research, we realized that many African organizations, especially startups, do not have access to the type of quality marketing support that they need. And in order for them to be able to access that marketing support, they need to spend a lot. And that means that they may most likely need to have access to it from international platform. So when you see that we can still provide for you the same quality, or we can even bring those people to you via partnerships with them to you to leverage on, and you still are not paying excessively, right? Then it is something you will want to consider. Now, I am saying all of this to you because it is very clear to me what makes my business different, what makes my platform different. Because whatever it is that you are communicating, right, as your brand positioning statement or your value proposition or your elevator speech, right, whatever way or whatever it is that you're trying to do, whatever it is that you're communicating must communicate value. Value. That is, it's all about an exchange of value. The last training I did, I said sales happen when there is an exchange of value. From you, it is the quality discharge of your service or the sales of your product. For the client, it is the receiving of your service that you have provided, or the receiving of the quality product that you have provided. So in one way or the other, there's exchange. They are giving you money for something, and you are giving them your product or your service in exchange. And it must resonate with your target audience. So I think I would want to end here. And I would want to take I want to take our questions. Don't mind me. I saw what Joseph had said in the comments. That was what made me laugh. Thank you for your words. Mr. Bosun, over to you. Hello? I guess he's busy. Okay, so I think I would throw this back to us here.
I'm here.
Okay, all right. Over to you. I think I'm done. We can get questions and feedbacks, and if not,
Call me. I'm actually.
Guess we can call it a day.
All right.
Thank you guys for taking your time.
Omotola, thank you very much. Sorry,
Yeah.
I've been in another meeting.
No, it's all right. I understand.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you for giving of yourself to the service of humanity. And I really have to appreciate the passion with which you have delivered your content. It's second to none. And the level of investments you have made and impact you have also made in the lives of everybody in this place, including me. So business people, thank you for listening in. A lot has been said around value proposition, around communicating the value, around ensuring that we are able to reach our target markets. All of these things are pivotal to the success of our businesses. And it is the reason why necessity is placed on us, and I'm saying it again, to do the work. From all of our conversations, I've mentioned that one of the major reasons we would meet and share and learn from one another is on the grounds that there's going to be shift in our perspectives. And importantly, the fact that we would put into execution, put into work the things we have learned. She mentioned something, business rides on the back of value. So because really buying and selling is predicated on the law of exchange. You have to give value to get value. So, and it is the higher the value you get, the higher the number of people that demand your value, the higher the value you get in return. So it's just very important that we put all of these things to use, try as much as possible to not take them for granted. Reality also is that maybe there'll be turbulent times. It might not just be very easy. A lot of people in this place need funding, and that might not be easy to get, considering the different funding options and their pros and cons. You really just have to be very intentional about what you want. Then she talked about the place of greed, which is one of the things we have to deal with as individuals. One of the things I've noticed about business people is that we want to capture a lot of value very quickly. So the place of patience is not there. And you have to also be very careful with the place of manipulation, because a lot of things can be done regarding manipulating customers, and it's not a sustainable way to build a business. It's not a sustainable way to create value. You just have to be very intentional with the way you create value, with the way you deliver the value and you capture it. So that being said, I think there is a need for 1, 2, or 3 persons to ask questions, maybe so we'll still engage. I think I'm going to request that Omotola shares the slide with me, and I'll consider if I'll be magnanimous enough to share with everyone. Okay. But it is one thing for you to share with me, it's another thing for me to share with them. They have to be cooperation. But really, at this point, is there anyone that needs to ask a question? I know there is a particular question that is hanging I'm supposed to answer, but not this session. I think it's going to happen during the weekend. I'm ready for that one, but we're just 8 minutes to, it's just 8 minutes to 4. And I think people have to go do that thing. You cannot even spend too much time here. But is there anyone that has a question? Any question? Or maybe you want to just give a note of appreciation to Omotola. Somebody should say something. I need 2, 3 persons to say something so I can share the slides. I'm not trying to manipulate you anyways, but I just need somebody to talk. I need you to ask questions, unless it's just three of us that are here, or four of us. Okay, Amide, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Miss Omotola. Thank you so much. Like, I don't even know how to appreciate you. I've not done my link canvas all this way, and this value proposition has been one of the things that blame me. I've watched the YouTube, I've watched all the stuff. Like, I'm still yet confused. But with this teaching, I've written out my value proposition just immediately. Like, thank you so much.
Nice.
I do appreciate.
So welcome. Do you want to share?
Dave, I'm still waiting for you to share.
Hey, yes, I'm. I will share it now that I've gotten the value proposition. So I'll share. I will. I will share it with you. Thank you, sir.
Nice. I think we are good.
Hello. So there's a question from Gabriel. He said,
okay.
Can you give me a sample of an elevator pitch of someone who is into book publishing?
So the same thing I usually tell my people, I'll tell you this, go and do the research, look for something. And then once you have found it and you worked on it, then share it with me or with Mr. Bosun, and they will work with it. Because I don't want to encourage spoon feeding, to be candid. We have given you all of the frameworks and the necessary things to look at. So the same way I've asked this question, you could go to a ChatGPT to ask the same question to come up with samples of elevator speech of a book publishing agency, or you could just type that same thing and post it on Google, and then you will have something, right? And we can work with that. I don't want to have to do that again, because I think I will not be helping. And I don't think Mr. Bosun will be helping too if he does that. The framework that you need has been provided.
Okay, so Gabriel, I think it's quite simple. I mentioned it has 4 quadrants. The number 1 quadrant has your product name and product category. You are into educational service. So you state your product name and the category to which your product belongs. You state in the 2nd quadrant, you state the problem you are attempting to solve. And I think one of the things you told me is that you're trying to solve problem for children who are unable to read. I know we have talked about that. Then what is the proposed solution? How do you go? How do you try? I mean, how do you want to meet this need or solve this problem? What is the proposed solution? And the 4th quadrant has the benefits, the key benefits of your solution. That is what elevator pitch is all about. And it's just that simple. It does not have to be perfect. It's just for you to be able to articulate your thoughts and to be able to communicate it effectively to anyone that wants to hear, or anyone who wants to it's not hard. No, and you should not see all these terminologies. We call it napkin pitch, we call it elevator pitch, we call it business model canvas. It's not like it's that deep. It's just the reason is life easy for you. Think in words. We think in models. We think in frameworks. We think in pictures. It is the reason why just draw cross in your paper. One segment of the cross. So you have 4 segments. One segment, write your product name and category. The other segment, write the problem you're trying to solve. The 3rd segment, write the proposed solution. The 4th segment, write the key benefit. Like I mentioned, then show it to somebody that you feel can help you refine it. And that is it. And like you mentioned, if you want to be spoon-fed, the only thing you get to know at the end of the day is going to be the shape of the spoon. The best thing you can do is carry the spoon yourself. The food might spill, it might fall, but carry it nonetheless. So let everybody just do the work. Do the business model canvas. Do the link canvas. Fill out the spaces. Don't look for perfection. Just do what you can. Then share with us. We can help you refine it. And I think that works really. Thank you for your question, Gabriel. Is there any other person that wants to ask a question? Joyce, I've not heard your voice. Is Emmanuel, Blessing Uche. And that person ran away. Okay. Okay, Chuku Benjamin, is there anything you want to share? I never even got the guy, maybe don't run come out.